Are you here with me? Can I see some faces, please?
Yes, good morning.
I'm sorry that I am late. I just got busy with my client and I didn't see the hour. Sorry. Are you with me? You want to listen?
Yes, we're with you.
Okay, thank you for waiting. Okay, so we are in the Parashat Vayigash. This Parasha, when I see the word Vayigash, I always have the other word that comes to me when I look at the letter, and the word is Gisha in Hebrew. Maze Gisha? Gisha is an approach. Approach to life. Approach to stimuli and responses that we get in our life. And the response that we have here is a meeting of two great people who will pave the history of Am Yisrael, are meeting in the most critical moment of truth. So we have Yehuda, if you remember very well from last week and what happened in the previous parasha. Binyamin is in the hands of Yosef. They go back to Yaakov to tell him that, unfortunately, if Binyamin will not come with them, they will not be able to go get the food, the bread, the wheat. And therefore, Yehuda says, I'm going to be responsible, not only in this world, but also in the world to come, according to the Mefarshim, that I bring your son back to you. When Yehuda uses that response to his father, we call it in psychology a corrective behavior. Because the responsibility of Yehuda was actually to take Yosef from the pit, not to sell it to Ishmael, but to bring it back to his father. He failed to do that. So now we have a corrective behavior from Yehuda's approach, which from a fall, and another fall that Yehuda had when he married that woman of the Canaanite, he's rising now. He's rising so high that we are going to see now a transition between Yosef and Yehuda that will pave the path of, Chachamim say, Oro shel Mashiach, the illumination of the possibility of Mashiach. So when Yehuda is approaching Yosef, he first starts with a very respectful way of attitude. Yes, Chachamim tell us the word Gisha has multiple interpretation to it. It could be a prayer, it could be a way of a war, or it could be a way of giving someone a present. Yes? Here we see that Yehuda uses those two approaches. He's using very self-respecting the person who is above him in the position he is, but at the same time, he hints to him that I'm ready to get into a war because I will not give up until I get what I need to get. And that is an amazing approach of leadership. The leadership that we expect from a leader, one of the characteristics that we want to see in the ideal leader is being responsible, showing all possible responsibility to his actions, to his commitment, because what did he commit? He committed to Yaakov, I will bring Binyamin back to you. And he's faced with the most difficult challenge, facing a person who says, we caught Binyamin stealing the Gavia, therefore he's going to be my slave. He's going to be my servant. How do you face such a phenomenon? How do you get out of such a critical moment in your life where you feel like you are in the most helpless situation? Would you find a resolution? Would you find the ability to fight back over something that you feel like it's a rock bottom, or like you're put in the corner and there's no way of getting out of it. And Yehuda shows an amazing, resourceful power and strength to confront Yosef, who is the number one leader in Egypt, who is second to Paro. As Paro told him, only the ring is the one that's differentiating between you and me. So Yosef is considered the king. All the keys of the treasury is in his hands. He runs Egypt. Everybody comes and bow to him. Everybody comes and asks permission from him. Paro says, go to Yosef. Don't come to me. Yosef is the one who resolves all issues. So we have to understand that momentum of Yehuda approaching Yosef, and how does he come with that approach? Let's see, what does he tell him? He tells him, Vayomer, Bi Adoni. Maze Bi Adoni. He really starts with softening himself, he's humiliating himself, he's being humble. But I'm going to tell you something. The Berna of the Varbos Ne Adoni. So he calls himself a servant, but then he wants to speak to Yosef only to his ears, which means it's a kind of a very quiet conversation. And don't be angry at me when I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Now, Chachamim tell us interpretation. What was the message that Yehuda was telling Yosef? He was telling him secretly, I will break you and I'll break Paro. Which means that Yehuda shows more power over Yosef. Now remember, he doesn't know he's Yosef, but Yosef knows he's Yehuda. And what does Yosef feel when Yehuda emerged to be the man he was supposed to be all the time? Because you have to understand, in the names that Leah gave to her children, Yehuda is the first one when Leah is actually at her high. Yes, because when she names Reuven, she says, God shows how poor I am, how miserable I am. That means it's an approach of self-pity. Then she calls the second one what? Reuven Shimon. What does she say? Shema Hashem et oni. God, listen to how poor I am. Again, it's a sense of what? Self-pity. Then Levi, what does she say? Apam yilave ishi elai. Means this time, maybe my husband is going to walk with me. But it's not finalized. Yes, it's not on its high. And then she has Yehuda. And what does she say when she has Yehuda? Apam odeh et Hashem. She is reaching a place of what? Thankfulness. So Yehuda, as we all know, in his letters, we also have the letters of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, of the name of Hashem. Means he has in him the ability to be all powerful. But which time of his life Yehuda reaches this point? It's today. It's in this Parashat. He reaches the peak, a peak that from there he can only climb. And what does he say? He says, Adoni, שאל את עבדיו לאמור, היש לכם אב או אח? Who started all this war? You're the one who started to investigate and instigate and ask us, do you have a father? Do you have a brother? And we say to Adoni that we have a very old father, yes, Av Zaken, old man, וילד זיקונים, קטן. And we have the youngest brother, yes, and his brother died, ואחיו מת. Now you have to hear, Yosef is listening to this, yes. So now Yosef understands that they assume he's what? Dead. Now tell me something, psychologically. If we assume someone is dead, and we have in front of us someone who signaled to us every moment that he is that brother, and we are completely in the blind, how can I be blind? It's in front of me, the face shows that this person is my brother. He shows all signs. What do you think the Gavia can read? Who is the first one, the second one, the third one? What, we believe in voodoo? He gives them all possible hints, but they're in the blind. And when you're in the blind, you just don't see. And therefore he says, Ve'achiv met, and his brother is dead. Now, you have to understand, Yehuda and all the brothers, when they came to Egypt, they assumed Yosef should be there. They searched in every gate, in every place, even in the house of the lowest of Egypt. Sure, they thought for sure that he's there because he was handsome, young. So probably he was sold to such kind of a place. But they couldn't find him. So the conclusion was what? For sure he's dead. Ve'achiv met, and his brother is dead. He never saw that the brother is dead until today, because they knew very well they sold him. So assuming he's dead is not because they are defying him, but because they really believed he is dead. That's why there is this blindness, not seeing in front of them who is that person. And then he says, "Vayivater hu levado le'imo ve'aviv ahevo." Wow, we are repeating the story. It's like Yosef sees now that Binyamin received the same treatment as he has received when he was there. He's the only child, they say, to his mother, Rachel, and his father loves him. What about the rest? He doesn't love them? Of course not. He only took care of Binyamin. ותאמר אל עבדיך, הורידו אליי, ואשימה עיניי עליו. Wow. Now it's really like as a mixed messages. Yes. Don't forget, Egypt was the place of all impurity. Yes. Now you told your servants, again, he calls himself a servant, bring him down, and I want to put my eyes on him. Wow. Double meaning. Yes. I want to put my eyes on him. Okay. And we say to you, our master, לא יוכל הנער לעזוב את אביו ועזב אותו אביו ומת. If Binyamin is going to depart from his father, God forbid, we are taking a very big risk that his father shall die. Again, we use the words what? Death. ותאמר לעבדיך, לא, unless you bring your youngest brother, you cannot see my face. You're not allowed to come to Egypt. Okay, and now, when we went to our father and we told him your orders, and our father says, we must go get food. And then we told him we cannot go down. We cannot, because we have to bring Binyamin with us. And then what did I say? Vayomer avdecha, avdecha means Yehuda. We know that our father said to us, my wife, as if there was no other wives, yes, gave me 2 children. Look, Yaakov is still very stubborn about who was his main wife, yes. ויצא אחד מאיתי. Wow, that's a very interesting pasuk. One left me. Yaakov doesn't say that he died. Look exactly now what happened throughout those 22 years. What was the thought process of Yaakov? Because Yaakov never saw the body of Yosef, according to all psychological interpretation about someone who loses someone and they never saw the body, they say they keep believing they're alive. Because when the eye sees, the eye believes. So, the father says, one left me. Va'omar, I said loudly, ach, tarov, tarov. I, in a way, if I could interpret it correctly, by mistake, rushed to say that my son was eaten up by an animal. Velo reitiv ad hena, which means, what is the sign that Yehuda is trying to tell us? That his father never left hope. Maybe his son is alive. And then my father said to us that if you take my other son, ולקחתם גם את זה מעם פניי, וקראו אסון. And if God forbid some terrible thing is going to happen to him, I will go down, yes, none fulfilled my purpose and goal in this world. What was Yaakov's purpose? Why is it important for him that A, Yosef will be alive, B, that God forbid Binyamin won't take from him? Because Yaakov believed with all his heart that from Rachel will come the family of kingship, of whatever his destiny to do in this world, with the children of Rachel. As we all know, it's not just Yosef, although from Yosef's family came Yoshua, who helped, obviously, Am Israel to get to Eretz Israel, yes, because Yeshua is from Shevet Binyamin, yes, but it's not just that. And Shaul also was the first king, he's from Shevet Binyamin. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they knew that, Yaakov knew that it's Yosef is coming to, the children of Rachel are the most important. But we know in reality that when Yaakov bought the Bechorah from Esav, he also took the part that kingship from Leah will come as well. And who is going to be that child? Yehuda. Mm-hmm. Because Mashiach and King David come from where? From Yehuda. So what I'm trying to show you here, that we have here a very interesting meeting between two amazing leaders that will pave the path for the history of Am Yisrael and for the path of Mashiach. So let's see, this conversation is a very deep one between Yosef and Yehuda. And now that you took Binyamin and you want him to be your servant, you need to know that if we come to our father and this child is not with us, ונפשו קשורה בנפשו, and his neshama of Yaakov is so attached to Binyamin, which means Binyamin really is the only son of Yaakov that Chachamim say has a very, very, very deep meaning with Yaakov. As we all know, but not, ladies, that Jerusalem, the property of Bet HaMikdash, belonged to Shevet Binyamin. So we understand that Binyamin plays a very important role also in the Kedusha, in the sanctity, in the place where Bet HaMikdash will be built. And then he tells him, Vaya biraoto ki en anar v'met. If he is not going to see his son coming back, God forbid something horrible is going to happen to him. Again, we use the word what? Death. והוריד את עבדיך, את שיבת עבדיך אבינו ביגון שאולה. That he will go into his grave knowing that he did not fulfill his mission in this world. It's a very long, long conversation between Yosef and Yehuda. What does he do? And I'm not to continue to read, yes, because he says there later on that he's the one who is in charge for bringing Binyamin, and his life and the life to come is out of a question if he doesn't bring Binyamin. And then he tells him, and I am willing to take responsibility over my commitment. You bring back Binyamin, and I will be your servant forever and ever. Yes? Because there's no way I'm going back to my father. There's no way. This is out of options. Now we're going into this transition. Velo yachol Yosef להתאפק. And Yosef couldn't hold up no more. לכל הניצבים עליו, to all the people who are in front of him. ויקרא, and he said, everyone get out of here. I only want to be alone with those people. הסיעו כל איש מעליי, ולא עבר איש איתו, בהתוודע יוסף אל אחיו. One was there when Yosef confessed that he is Yosef. Before we get into this confession and the reaction and response of the brothers, we need to go into Yosef's head. What happened to Yosef when Yehuda have this dialogue with him? What we understand is that Yosef understood that his brothers did teshuvah. Chachamim tell us that the concept of teshuvah was taught by Reuven, because I explained to you when we spoke about the Parashat that what happened with Reuven, that he was wearing a sack. That's why he left Yosef with the brothers and he went back to his father, because he was doing a fast and wearing a sack to show Hashem that he's very, very, very sorry that he switched the beds and never took consideration about his father, rather than only thought about his mother, pride and respect and kavod. So we have Reuven do teshuvah. But over here, we see Yosef seeing the teshuvah of Yehuda. And the teshuvah of Yehuda, since it was so complete, how is it complete? Because Yehuda could have done to Binyamin the same way he did to Yosef. He had the same opportunity now to get rid of Binyamin, the way they got rid of Yosef, which is the children of Rachel. And they will get all the power. But Yehuda, this time, no compromise, no in between. It's all the way finalized. I am going to do what is right, and I will be the servant instead of Binyamin. And not only I, my children, and not only in this world, but also in the world to come. He's willing to take full responsibility. There is the first time that in history we see a leader that takes full responsibility twice, once with Tamar and here. Now you need to understand that Yehuda is going to get the crown to be Mashiach ben David because of this moment. This was the pavement of seeing not only Yehuda, but his descendants having that DNA attribute of taking full responsibility and not moving a iota from their commitment, from their promise, from their responsibility to do what is right and to do what is being promised by them. It's like, imagine you have a candidate that comes to become either a president or prime minister or a minister, and he says, during my election, I'm going to do A, B, and C, and D. And he does it all the way to the T. That's when we know, wow, that was a great leader. And this is where he convinced Yosef. While Yosef is listening to the speech of Yehuda, million movies go around Yosef. And one of them is, wow, what a transformation. This is not the same Yehuda I know. This is not the same brothers I know. These brothers are willing to put their life on the line for the brother that the father loves as much as he loved Yosef. And he knows that they have been rejected. All the brothers were rejected. Yaakov wouldn't look at them. And they knew it. And the fact that they had a secret together, lying to their father, made them even more distant from their father. And the regret and the sorrow and the grief that they caused their father, they had such a deep guilt inside them. As we all know, who sells a brother? That is like absurd. How can hatred lead someone to do something so violating? Such an abuse. But here Yosef sees a different person. He's aware that these brothers have made teshuvah. And he walked all the way with them the minute he took Shimon. And all this trouble that he is giving to them was only to rediscover, are these people the same people who sold me? or they have done teshuvah. And with the response of Yosef, we are going to see how he sees them and how he sees himself. So let's see. Let's look at the process of teshuvah that they do and what credit Yosef gives them and how everything is being switched. Okay? So what do we see here? Vayiten et kolo bivchi. First reaction of Yosef is a catharsis. It's a deep cry. Can you imagine 22 years of holding back the grief, the sorrow, the torment of thinking, what happened after I was sold? What did they tell my father? How come my father didn't go and seek for me and search for me? Can you imagine? We have to put ourselves in the shoes of Yosef, and million thoughts will bumper your head. And there is a moment of catharsis. Vayiten et kolo bivchi, vayishmeu Mitzrayim. All Egypt heard that cry. Can you imagine? We read it like it's like, like 2 lines and that's it. We have to feel the magnitude of that moment. Vayishma bet Paro. Why do they say about that? Is to tell us the impact that behavior of Yosef did to all Egypt. Vayomer Yosef el Echav. And Yosef tells his brothers, Ani Yosef. I am Yosef. Ha'od avi chai. Is my father still alive? Now, I want to tell you something, ladies. You need to ask a question here. You know that the brothers are here with Yosef after they took Binyamin with them. Really, they don't know if the father is alive or not. They knew before they left, but he asked them before and they say he's alive. Why does he ask now? Rav Uri Shriki comes with a very interesting commentary, and he says, you are worried that if Benjamin will not come to his father, he will die. Did you think about it when you sold me? Did you think yourself, will my father survive that? So there is a reformation here, yes? Very subtle. Oh, now you're worried that he's going to stay alive? Did you worry about it when you sold me? And then it says, Velo yachlu echav la'anot oto, ki nivhalu mipanav. And the brothers were like, as we say, frozen, shut down, because they could not believe that this is the face of Yosef. Now, remember what I said. They were searching for him. They came to the conclusion that Yosef is dead. And now Yosef says, I am Yosef. And they are all so deeply scared. What are they scared? They panicked. What is the panic about? It's the blinding. The blinding part has been what? Removed. So now everything is what? Transparent. There is a transparency now. Obviously, they are in a shock. Yes, they went into what we call mode of shutdown. And then Yosef says to his brothers, Vayom Yosef elecha, Geshu na elai. Again, Geshu, the word Vayigash, right? The name of the parasha. We meet this word again, Geshu elai. What is the parasha is trying to tell us? that we are using different approaches here. So first he tells them a reformation. Oh, you're so worried about Abba that he should die, Benjamin doesn't come. Where were you in that worrying when you sold me? Didn't you worry about our father? That's a one way of saying what? I want to see if you did teshuvah. And then he tells them, Vayigash, Vayomar, Ani Yosef achichem asher mechartem oti mitzrayim. So, if you suspect that I'm not Yosef, then I'm going to tell you. Not in front of Egypt, because he took away everyone. And Chachamim tell us that from Yosef we learn how to reprimand someone, that it should never be next to people. You should never embarrass someone next to people. You want to tell someone, you hurt me, you've done wrong to me, talk only to the person, face to face, with respect. Yes, you're allowed to show your grief, your sorrow, even that you're upset, you're allowed. But it has to be in a respectable way. And Yosef is the model for that. So you're the one who sold me to Egypt. So over here he's telling them that was a very wrong thing to do. And then he tells them. Suddenly he switches his attitude. So first there was a what? A reprimation, right? He reprimands them in a subtle way, in a way that they should be awaking and seeing, you're worried about Yaakov and Binyamin. Where were you? Where was your worry? Where was your concern? Where was your empathy when it came to me and my father? And then he tells them, Ve'ata. Ata means it's the here and now. In the here and now, I'm telling you that you should stop feeling sorry. Yes? Al te'atzvu. Don't go into grief. Don't go into sorrow. Ve'al yichar beinichem. And don't be angry at yourself that you sold me. Ki mechartem oti. Hena, that you sold me here. Ki lemichya shelachani Elokim lifnechem. Because God has sent me. Now, we are to see two approaches here in Yosef that teach us so much about life. In one hand, we have free choice how we want to conduct ourselves. We have free choice. We have a free choice how I want to approach someone. Yeah, let's say he's done bad to me. I could either take revenge, hold a grudge. I could start to be angry and snappy and all that. Or I could gently tell the person, this doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. I can't live like that no more. So it's about what? How I approach a stimuli. In that end is the behavior of the brothers and which Yosef is hinting to them. That was a very, very wrong way of approaching your feelings, your hatred, your jealousy. Oh, was the worst approach ever. There is no worse than that. If you think that you killed me, it would have been worse, you're wrong. Because what I went through 22 years took me a long time to come to the place I am today. A lot of suffering before I came to who I am today. But I'm telling you that today I see it in a different light, from a different place. There is a transference within me, knowing that you sold me, it was wrong. But me being here in Egypt, it's God's plan. It's God's plan. God wanted me to be here so I can support this family and the whole Egypt, and actually the whole society of that one, the whole civilization. כי זה שנתיים הרעב בקרב הארץ, is 2 years of hunger all over the earth. ועוד 5 שנים, and there's 5 more years that's supposed to be like that. וישלחני אלוקים לפניכם, and God sent me before you, not only in front of you, before you. So I can what? I can revive my family and this whole Egypt and this whole civilization, the whole Mesopotamia. להחיות לכם לפלטה גדולה, so there's going to be a great salvation. So people would not die. Ve'ata, again the word what? Ve'ata. Every time Yosef says ve'ata, means he's climbing higher in the way you see things. We need to wear different glasses when we want to understand life. Do I want to look at it in a microscopic way? Or do I want to look at it more macro? Do I want to look from above and down? Or I want to pay attention to the detail and be stuck there with the detail and never be able to see the full picture? Yosef have gone through all those approaches. Yosef is the person who succeeded to have such an amazing vision about life, understanding that within free choice, there is also God's plan. And God's plan must take place. That's why Rashi will tell us at the very Parashat that really Yaakov Avinu was supposed to go into Egypt chained in his hands and legs, like a servant. But God, who loved Yaakov, sent before him Yosef, so he can bring Yaakov with so much respect and honor. Now you understand that we have free choice, but there is also God's choice within that. There is no contradictory when we say, does a human being have free choice? But God knows everything. Now you see that these two oppositions in Judaism exist coincide. That yes, we have free choice. Our free choice runs with, how do I respond to a stimuli? Was I reactive, fight, flight, frozen, or flattery? Or was I mindful, actively listening, being objective, try to understand the greater plan of life? I said it also in the previous parasha, that even if Yosef had to go to Egypt in some level to become that awesome leader that he was there another path that could have opened for Yosef to get to Egypt rather than being done by his brothers in such a lowly way? It's a riddle. And then he tells him again, Ve'ata lo atem shlachtem oti. You are not the one who made me the servant, the shaliach, the messenger. Ki Elokim. Because it's all meant to be from God. Vayesimeni le'av leFaro. Over here it means he put me to be the head of Paro. Av here means head. Ule'adon lechol beto, and the master of all his palace. Umoshel bechol haaretz, and the governor of all these civilization of the time. Bechol haaretz. Vechol beto. Umoshel bechol eretz Mitzrayim. And then he tells them, so hurry up and go to your father and tell him, Ko amar bincha Yosef. This is what Yosef has said. God has put me to be the master of Egypt. Come to me. And then I will prepare for you a special piece of land that will be all yours. Can you imagine what was the power of Yosef? That he can take a whole property, a whole piece of land, and make it for his brother and the children. Now, if you look at the map of Egypt of that time, where Yosef was and where it's Eretz Goshen, it's a distance of 3 days from Egypt. So really, Yosef was thinking about every detail. Because what did Yosef believe when he stood in front of Paro and saw his dream? I told it to you last week that in Yosef's personal dream, when he saw the alumot means wheat, yes? Mm-hmm. And then, Paro himself talking about wheat. That's when it clicked to Yosef. That's when he knew how to bring the interpretation the correct way, that he became the leader, the master, because he knew that Hashem was telling him when he was 17, this is what's going to happen to you in the future. How? That is a riddle. But the fact that God has made him that master of Egypt and all the land and all the household to be the minister of treasure, that was already planned when Yosef, even maybe before he was born, because that's God's plan. And that is what Yosef is telling them. So now we have to understand, I've always explained that we see that there are 3 movements of the Shuvah. When someone does something and he meant what he did, that's like the brothers, right? Who send him to the pit. Shimon and Levi wanted his death. Reuven tried to save him, but obviously couldn't do it, yes? But Yehuda had some mercy on him, and he says, you know what? We cannot shed blood on him. It's wrong. We cannot not play God, but we'll sell him, and then we'll see how his dreams come true. This is a moment, yeah? It's like a closure. We close the cycle. What Yehuda says, oh, we'll sell him, let's see what his dreams come. Yehuda has to say, well, I guess this man is not just a dreamer, he's a prophet. And therefore, Yehuda salutes to Yosef. But it's moreover. You know what Yosef is going to do? The Mefarshim are telling us that when Yosef saw Yehuda at his best, being so strong, willing to fight Yosef and Paro with his life to the end, but make sure he comes to his father's house with Benjamin. That's when Yosef knew that he can take now the sharvit, the crown, and the how do you call that? I forgot again. And give it to the scepter, right? And give it to Yehuda. So we understand now from here how we have what we call Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. These 2 concepts sealed the deal right at this moment. Right at this moment in history, we began the possibility that is going to be 2 Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. What does it mean to be Mashiach ben Yosef? To be Mashiach ben Yosef has a double meaning. First, that Yosef will be always a part of the Jews that will always associate with other nations, that will help the world economy, that will help the world treasury, that will help the world in many possible leadership possibilities. That's Mashiach ben Yosef. On the same token, Mashiach ben Yosef is what's going to happen to Am Yisrael in our last Geulah. That first we will have to build our economy. So Mashiach ben Yosef means that the ability for the Jews to build themselves in a financial, economic, social way. And then we have the movement of what? Mashiach ben David. And what is Mashiach ben David? Mashiach ben David means that the ability to always grow and move forward and see the light and know that in the darkest moment of all, we can always create new light. And this is the history of Am Yisrael. We are emerging. Yes, we keep emerging, and we all want to see Mashiach, Mashiach, Mashiach. But we need to know that Mashiach is an ongoing movement. If we study Gemara carefully and we know exactly what Mashiach is doing, Chachamim tell us that what does Mashiach do? Well, what Mashiach is doing is, like the Gemara says, that he's sitting on the market and he has wounds and he covered them, and then he has another wound and he cover another wound. And then he has another one and he cover another one. What do we understand from that? That it's an ongoing process. Towards what? Towards being the most committed people, responsible civilization that know how to speak to one another and know how to resolve issues and create new ideas, new movements, new transformations that will allow society to be in its best, in its idealistic way. So this is it for today. Obviously, I could continue until tomorrow, but this is what I share with you today. So I thank you so much for listening and sorry for being late.